Welcome. Today we're going to learn Parshas Kedoshim. So the pasuk starts, Parsha Ish imay v'aviv tiro v'yesapsosai tishmayru ani Hashem Elokeichem. So here's the mitzvah of Yira. There's two mitzvahs. There's a mitzvah of kabed savicha v'simecha. You have to honor your parents, and this is a mitzvah of Yira, which means you have to fear, meaning respect. It doesn't mean you have to be afraid of them, they're not going to hit you. It means you have to have yiras Reinman, you have to have respect for them. So Rashi says like this, Ish ima v'yovav tiro. So Rashi says, Kol echad mikem tiro ovavimai. Each and every one of you should have respect, have yira for his father and his mother. So what does it mean, Kol echad mikem? What does that mean, first of all, yira? So Rashi says later, Eza Moira, what's called Moira? L'yeshiv b'mkaimai, you don't sit in the seat. V'lidaber b'mkaimai, you shouldn't speak in front of him. V'liyister es dvorov, and you shouldn't contradict him. This is how Yira is expressed. Respect is expressed by doing these things, or by not doing these things. V'eza kovod, what's honoring? Machal, mashke, malbish, Umandal, he gives him food and drink, and he gives him shoes, machlis and moitzi. He brings them, he takes them. That's how you honor your father. So over here, Rashi says there's a mitzvah, Kol echad mekem tiru avivimai. Every person is mechuyev to have yira for his father and mother. So Rashi is being medayik because it says here, Ish avivimai v'av tiro, and it doesn't say by Kibbut Avim, doesn't say Ish Avivimai Techabdu. So over here the Torah is being marba that it's a chiyuv on every single person. So the question is, why would I think that it's not a chiyuv on every single person? Why not? I mean, the Torah doesn't tell you by covet that you have to every single person is a mechuyev. Every mitzvah in the Torah applies to everybody. So if you have a mitzvah in the Torah to respect your father, so then that also should apply to everybody. So, Emerson, normally you understand that the Moira respect that it's expressed by not sitting in his place is, if you have Moira from a Rosh Hashiva or from a chacham person, then you're not going to sit in this place. This is an expression of the Moira that you have. But if a person is, let's say, much bigger than his father, let's say his father is not somebody that inspires respect. Somebody, maybe he's a pashta person, doesn't inspire respect. So then, I would think that maybe, what can you do? I mean, it's a feeling, you have a chiyuv to have a feeling. So when it comes to kibbut avim, every person has a koros hatov, or he should have a koros hatov to his parents, because they brought him into the world. If it wasn't for them, he wouldn't have life. So therefore, every person naturally, if he's a mensch, a normal person, naturally, no matter who the father is, no matter who the mother is, has a natural feeling of hakaras hatov to his parents, and that feeling of hakaras hatov is expressed by making sure they have what to eat and what to drink and what to wear. That's how it's expressed. But when it comes to yira, so why do you have a natural feeling of respect for a father? Why? What if the father is not deserving of it? It's not a question of hakaras hatov here. It's a question of respecting him and fearing him and expecting him for who he is. So I would think that maybe you don't have a chiyuv. So that's what the pasuk tells you, that you do have a chiyuv. Why? So what do? So the mitzvah that we saw before, that you're not supposed to sit in this place, that is not derived from a feeling. That is the mitzvah. The mitzvah is to act towards him as if you respect him, And even if you don't have any reason to respect him, you have to act towards him as if you respect him, as if you look up to him and you hold him in reverence and awe, and that's what you're supposed to do, and hopefully through that you will engender the feeling of respect. But it doesn't start with a feeling of respect. By kibbud aim, it starts with a feeling of hakaras hatov. So this is how it's expressed. Over here, it doesn't necessarily start with a feeling of respect. It starts from the other side. It starts from what you're supposed to do, and therefore that applies to everybody. And could be that's why it says also the lashon ish. Ish in the Torah is always used for a great person. So he's saying even a great person has to have respect for his mother and his father, even though they are much smaller than them. So that's what the pasuk is telling you. Everybody has to have that respect. Now, just take this. Take this a little bit further. So over here it says aviv ve'imay, imay ve'aviv, first the mother and then the father, and by kibbud aveim it says kabis avicha v'esimecha, first the father and then the mother. So Rashi says, kan higdim aim lahav. Over here, the Torah is magdim, the mother to the father. Why? V'shegoli yifanav, the Rebbeinu Shalom is goli for the Rebbeinu Shalom. Sha'ben yorei es aviv, yoser me'imai. So since a son has more moira for his father than for his mother, therefore the Torah is madgish that you have to have respect for your mother, even though you naturally have more respect for your father, you have to respect your mother. So that's why it's Magdim Aim Aviv. So it says that this comes from the Gemara, and the lashon of the Gemara is Lefisha Goli Lefanov, because it's Goli for the Rebbeinu Shalom. Why do you say it's good? It seems like it's something which the Rebbeinu Shalom knows, because the Rebbeinu Shalom, everything is Goli for him, so he knows that a ben has more respect for his father than for his mother. But apparently, why do you have to say it's Goli Lefanov? This is the way of the world. Their chaylam is that a son has more respect for his father, and he has more covet for his mother because she's kinder to him and she's nurtures him, so he has more respect for his mother. That's the nature. And on the other hand, it comes to respect, he has more respect for the father. So what does it mean gol l'fanav? What's the gol l'fanav? So I think what he's saying over here is that even if the father is let's say the father is not moraz, he's like a pashta person, and say he can't even read. So even such a person, and the Gemara says, why is a girl lefanov that you have more respect for your father? Because it's malamdei Torah, because the father teaches him Torah. But not necessarily. Sometimes the father does teach him Torah, sometimes the father doesn't. If the father is illiterate and he can't even read from a Siddur or a Pasuk Chomish, then he doesn't teach him Torah. So what does this mean? So the goal of the fun means that I think what he's saying over here is that every person, because the role of the father is to teach him Torah, so every person has an innate respect for the father. He has an innate yira. It's built in that way. No matter whether it can actually do it or not. But since that's the role of the father, so every person, we see the Chavos speaks about many things that are innate, that are like wired into a person. So it's Golol Lefanav, the Baruch Shalom knows, he sees into the neshama of every person, he knows that it's Golol, that is wired into you, that you should have respect for your father. Will you actually have that respect or not? Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But if you don't, it's going against something that's built into you innate. So that's the Golol Lefanav. So when you have to, as we were speaking before, that there are certain things that you have to do, not to sit in this place, and because that will create respect. It's not creating a yesh ma'ayin over here. It's not the pshat that basically you have no respect for your father. But do all these things, go through the motions, don't sit in the seat, and maybe this will lead to respect. It could, but I think it's more than that. That since a person has an innate respect for a father, so therefore when he does these things, when he doesn't sit there, then that will bring out that innate respect for the father, and then he would have that respect b'poil. But it all starts It starts, especially by a ish, a big person, it has to start with just doing the right thing. Then sometimes, often, it doesn't start with the feeling. Okay, now, okay. Right in the Parshas it says, "V'ahavta l'reacha k'moicha, ani Hashem." So, I just wanted to say over Gemara, which I think, like everybody knows the Gemara, it's like one of the most famous Gemaras. I'll say it over anyway. So the Gemara says like this: Ma'aseh b'nochri echad shebo lefnei Shammai. A guy came to Shammai and he told him, "Gerani al manash tlamdeni kol haTorah kula k'shani yomed al regel achas." He said, "Teach me. I want to become a ger, but on the condition that you teach me the entire Torah while I'm standing on one leg." So Shammai did not appreciate that. So the chafai be'amas habinyan shabiyada, he took like a brick, or I think that's the kind of a thing, and he chased him away. Bolefnei Hillel, he came to Hillel, Gairei. So he accepted him. He says, "Magairim." So he said to him, he has to teach him Kol Torah Kula. So he said, "Daloch sani lechavrach lo savid." What's hateful to you, don't do to somebody else. Zuhi Kol Torah Kula. This is the whole Torah. V'idach pirushahu. Everything else is a pirush. Zul Gemar, go learn. So what does this mean? That the whole Torah is of V'ahavta l'reacha k'moicha, and everything else is a pirush. There are so many things. I mean, there are many things that are built l'chavera in the Torah. You shouldn't don't steal, because if you love another person like yourself, you're not going to hurt him by stealing his money or things like that. Don't hit him or lend him money but there are many things that are related to V'ahavta l'reacha k'moicha. But there are numerous mitzvahs in the Torah that have nothing at all to do with V'ahavta l'reacha k'moicha. So what does he mean to say that you should be mekayim V'ahavta l'reacha k'moicha? He's expressing it to him, by the way. He'll express it to him not the way the Torah says. The Torah says V'ahavta l'reacha k'moicha, that you should love the positive way. You should love somebody else as you love yourself. And he expressed it to this guy in the reverse, that if something you don't want done to you, don't do somebody else. But basically, that's the same thing. So all those other mitzvahs that have nothing to do with the V'ahavta l'reacha k'moicha, how could you say that Zul Gemar learned the rest of the Torah and it's all a pirush on V'ahavta l'reacha k'moicha? What's the pshat of that? So Bemison, V'ahavta l'reacha k'moicha is the Ramban says it's a hafloga. It's like an exaggeration. How can a person love another person as he loves himself? A person is mostly into himself. Why be able to love a person mamish like he loves himself? Really an amazing thing. So what exactly is the pshat in this? So I think that we spoke a few times about a person is murkiv. He's a hybrid of a neshama and a guf. Neshama is the ruach, the person's neshama is ruchnius, and the guf is the material side. The person, the reason why we understand that it's come out impossible to love a person the way you love yourself is because of the guf, because of the chaimer, because of your taivas, because of your negiyas, because of all your pniyas, all these things that what you need, you're in competition with other people. Whatever that one has, then you don't have it. It's all, everything is coming from the guf, everything from the chaimer, everything that the reason why, what separates one person from another and gives you preference over another person, is all coming from the guf. The neshama is the chilek l'kama mal, and if a person is a pure neshama, then it's really there's no negiyas over there. I mean, I could love another person like myself. If it's only mitzad neshama, what's the difference? It's all, everything's from the Rabbeinu Shleilam. It's all Hashem Shemayim. There's no difference between somebody else and myself. and it's all from the ruchnias. There's no tzrachim, no pniyas, no negiyas, nothing. It's all from the neshama. So the problem with v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha comes because the chaimer interferes with the ability of the neshama to love another person. So what Hillel is telling him like this: you know what the Torah is about? The Torah is about the hisgabrus of neshama over the guf. That's what the Torah is about. The Torah, when you learn the Torah elevates you. It makes your neshama dominant. It makes the neshama powerful, and it limits the koyach of the guf. The more Torah you learn, the more mitzvahs you perform, everything is mechazik the neshama. It becomes stronger over the guf. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, the ultimate goal of v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, that you should be able to love another person like yourself. The way to reach that goal is by the neshama being misgaber over the guf. Then you could forget about your own tzrachim, and you could care about another person the way you care about yourself. So how do you do this? Open up the Torah, see what the mitzvahs are, sit and learn, and that will lift you up, and that will make your neshama more powerful and more dominant, and then you'll be able to come closer to the ideal of v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. That's what Hillel was telling him. So I want to conclude with one short thing, just an observation. The pasuk says, "Lo yisahadu pnei gadol, b'sedek tishra misacha," that when you have it in Torah, the dayan, and he has two people in front of him, so he should not show preference to the gadol. Now, why would he show preference to the gadol? What does that mean? First of all, what is the gadol? Who is the gadol? So Rashi says, Shloi Tomer Asher Uzeh. This person, he's a wealthy person. He's a prominent member of society. Ben Gedolim Uzeh. He's the son of Rebbes and Rosh Hashivas. How could I be mevayishim? I have to pass for him. That's what I would think. That maybe that maybe you should think that way, or you're allowed to think that way. So the pasuk tells you how to play Godel. So Godel, Rashi is teaching Ashir, a rich person, or a Ben Gedolim. But he does not teach it as a Godel. Not a Godel. Why does he say, why Ben Gedolim? Why not a Godel? Why not a Rosh Hashiva? Why not a Rebbe, a Big Rav? Why isn't that the Godel? No, either Asher or the son of Gedolim. So I think what the reason is, because if he's a true Godel, he's not going to end up in Bezdin. Either he's not going to touch anybody's money, nobody can have kindness to him that he took something that doesn't belong to him. And forget, if somebody doesn't come to have, if somebody takes his money, he will work it out. He'll figure it out. He'll be masada with him. He's not going to end up in Bezdin. So who's going to end up in Bezdin? Either the big Gevir is going to end up in Bezdin, or the son of this Gadol. Yeah, the sons of Gedolim do end up in Bezdin, but the Gedolim usually don't. Thank you very much. I hope to see you next week.